Hi, welcome to Jules Bar. Today we're gonna go over best and worst of 2023. So, 2023. A lot of things happened. I had a couple of events where people enjoyed many of my drinks. That was quite positive. In the summer, I hosted as usual parties on the terrace in my hometown of Orzi Nuovi, Brescia. That was a lot of fun too. And now I have a couple of projects brewing, and I cannot tell you any more than that. But when it will be time and I can disclose what's coming up, I will let you know. But now let's get down to best and worst. And let's start with best cocktail. So as usual, the best list is gonna be comprised of new cocktails I tried this year, and not just I like, but I like them enough that I went back and I made them more than once, several times. So, at number 10, we have Americano Rosa. Something super simple I made while in Italy. It was mostly to highlight the Cocchi Rosa, which is freaking delicious. And you just mix it with Select and you make a nice long drink. And I made them a lot while I was in Italy. And number 9, we have Borgo Rodi, which is a coffee Manhattan variation, which I made while I was in Italy. And that's because I found out about Caffè Borghetti. Well, I didn't find out about it. I knew all along, but I never really tasted it as a cocktail ingredient. And it's this really good, super cheap coffee liqueur from Italy. And so I just made a Manhattan with that. And because I feel like I don't know what to do with my hands while presenting you this list, I'm gonna mix myself a Borgo Rodi while we go on with the rest of the best list. Anyway, let's go on with number 8. And number 8 we have Velento Negroni. Velento Negroni was just this idea I had about the video, which I thought was gonna be really funny, which meant I shot the video moving extremely slowly, like I was talking like this. And now we get the vermouth. And then I sped it up 4 times, and I thought that would be a really funny video playing on the concept of lento meaning slow. And boy, some people really didn't like that. It's my most downvoted video of all time. I still stand by the video, which I think was kind of funny, and I think the Lento Negroni is actually a quite decent cocktail. In fact, I had some Spanish guests here, and I knew he likes Pacharan, and I proposed him the Lento Negroni, and he really liked it. I think it's a really good Negroni variation. Then at number 6, and at number 7, which I might have forgot, the Grappa Sour. The Grappa Sour, it's a great cocktail, and I think it's a really interesting combination, mixing the grappa and a sour with an IPA beer. I made it a few times since I made the video. It's always good. The only problem, I don't make it as often just because I usually don't have an IPA beer in my fridge. I've been cutting down on the beer, for weight reasons. Because I drink too much of everything else. Then at number 6, we have Death in the Early Evening. Death in the Early Evening is my variation on Death in the Afternoon. And I really liked it because I feel like drinking Death in the Afternoon cocktail quite often. I will drink it a lot because I like the combination of sparkling and absinthe. The only problem is I usually don't open bottles of champagne or other classic method sparkling wine just to make cocktails. Those are kind of expensive. So by adapting the recipe to use Prosecco, which is a third of the price or even less, I can drink my death in the early evening a lot, and I really like that cocktail. Let me give this a taste to see where we are going. Yeah, it needs the touch of espresso. And number 5, Giulio's Bavarian Cup, which is that thing with white wine and kirsch and lots of fruits, which I made many times over. And with experience, I found out the combination of fruits was just great. Pear and strawberries really go well in that context. The wine choice you're gonna make is gonna be really important. I suggest a dry wine but with fruity flavors and not aged in oak. Oak screws up the cocktail completely. You want it fruity and dry, so that by being dry you add the amount of sugar you want yourself based on the fruits you have, and fruity because it's gonna play well with the fruits. Anyway, it's an excellent aperitif that you can prepare in advance. Let the fruits infuse the alcohol, and then it's a really nice aperitif. Just a tiny bit more curacao, or triple sec that is. And number 4, Pelham 123, which was my recreation of the cocktail I had in Dublin this year. That was called the French Connection. I came back to Japan, I'm like, let me recreate or try to recreate the cocktail, and I think I was quite successful. The cocktail I made was really good. I used Pinot de Charente, which it was a great find of a year. That French aperitif is just really good, and the cocoa butter washed cognac, which also is excellent, a technique that then I went on to use with other cocktails. Now it's right. At number 3, Impression Cacao. I just published the video a week or two ago, but I really think this cocktail, which I based around the T.L. Pierce Cacao Edition gin, it's really simple, but it really goes to the core of what that gin is about, and I think it's just excellent. It's one of those cocktails that I would be proud to present as one of my best, and it could be even my legacy. And number 2, we have Aperitivo Verde. Last year, actually, Aperitivo Marrone won my best of 2022. And Aperitivo Verde was close to win again. It was a great success in the summer in Italy, and it was with pineapple and basil and rum and prosecco, and it was just a really good aperitif cocktail that everybody loved. I made a ton. Everybody enjoyed it, and just like Aperitivo Marrone, is gonna be in my cocktail book for the years to come. But this time the aperitivo with the color name is not coming first. What is gonna come at number 1? By the way, I'm supposed to express some orange peel, but I don't have good oranges right now. So, just like this. Cheers, Borgorodi. Nice. Yeah, I think when I made this recipe, I used the Cocchi Storico vermouth, and then maybe is better. Also, I use the Curacao from Dora Grossa, and that's also excellent. But this is pretty good version too. Just to recap, it's half a teaspoon of Curacao, 1 teaspoon of Caffè Borghetti, 50 milliliters of vermouth, either amber vermouth, classico, or sweet vermouth, and 45 milliliters of bourbon. In this case, I use the Wild Turkey. In my original recipe, I used Bulleit bourbon. But let's get back to the best. At number 1, Around the World with Francisco. My entry in the Flor de Caña Sustainable Challenge. I just think the cocktail was really good. It was fresh, it was well presented, he had the story behind, and in the end of the day, it was just a good cocktail. It requires some effort in execution, just because you need the crushed ice. But actually, if you have the crushed ice, it's not very hard either. You just need to churn a bit like you should do with a well-made mint julep. But that's about it. It was a great cocktail, and I made it several times since then, and it's just a good. I think it's really good. And I would say it was my favorite of the year. But I don't know. All these cocktails in the top 10, they are all pretty good. Some are gonna make more in the future, maybe some are gonna fall by the wayside. But they are all excellent if they are in this list. But now, let's get down to the worst 5 cocktails I have this year. And we are gonna start at number 5 with Devil's Share. And here, it's not really the fault of the cocktail. If you've seen the video, it was just a problem I had. I went down the rabbit hole. I was like, is it the ice? Is it the shake? I don't know. I really didn't know what it could be. They gave a really weird flavor at the beginning. But then, as I went drinking it, it was kind of fine. But it kind of stuck with me that it wasn't good, even though probably the cocktail itself was good. As a comment suggested, probably it was the fault of the sketchy orange I use. That's why I don't use sketchy oranges anymore. It's better. Don't use sketchy oranges. Either you use good oranges, or it's better to leave the cocktail alone. No reason to use crappy stuff. And number 4, worst cocktail of the year, the Diplomat. Now, it's not that the Diplomat is bad, it's just that it's just vermouth. And it really didn't justify the effort to take out mixing glass, few bottles, glasses and stuff when I can just pour some vermouth over ice and call it a day. So that for me was a bit of a disappointment. But yeah, not great though, just vermouth. And number 3, Whiskey Butter. Now, more than the cocktail itself, there was a disappointment. The disappointment was the Advocat liqueur. I didn't like it. I really didn't like the Advocat because I think it recalls one of the eggnog that are sold in Italy, for example, Vov and Zabov. And in my memory, those taste a lot better. Those totally have some Marsala in them, and I think it really elevates them and makes them way better than the Advocat I bought, and I ended up using only that time. I never went back to that bottle. That was big disappointment. And also the truth is, if I want to make a cocktail like that, I'm just going to make a flip and throw in a wall egg, and it's going to taste way better anyway. At number 2, the Osmo. That's actually a Guilius cocktail. It was a variation of the Cosmo with sake, and it was just big failing. It was not good. It was just too light, as Guilius said, and it was no, not for me. And I still have my Cosmo recipe, also a Guilio, which is some kind of Cosmo, which is one of my favorite recipe ever I made. And that's it. If I make a Cosmo, I make the some kind of Cosmo. And at number 1, worst cocktail of the year, Vodka Stinger. This stuff was so bad I didn't even show you how I made it. I made it, and then I cut the part of the video where I made it, and then I show you the good stinger with the cognac. The vodka stinger was just like vodka and mint, man. I don't know, it's not good. Yes, not a big surprise. I don't like just plain vodka cocktail. I revisited the Vesper in the shorts. I published the shorts just a few days ago on the Vesper, and that's a great use of a vodka. There are some good uses of vodka. It's just, you cannot just use vodka like that and call it a day, and it's just not good, man. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. A recap of best and worst of 2023. Thank you for staying with us. We are almost at 600 subscribers, which is pretty cool. Thanks everybody for sticking around with me. And hopefully I will see you in the next year. Cheers. Do you think the charts are over? They are not. I'm gonna give you the best albums by decade from the 1960s to the 2010s. My own personal favorites, more than best. And when I say best album, the album has to be its own work of art. It has to be good from beginning to end. So, if the album has some great songs, but also has some piece of craps, it gets disqualified. And after saying that, I'm gonna start with an album which actually has the first song, which is the worst of the album. 1960s best album, Revolver by the Beatles. Yeah, I don't like Taxman. I think it's the weakest song of the Revolver, which is a freaking masterpiece. And enough has been said about Revolver. I don't think you have to listen to me talking about all the great songs on it. Runner-up in the 1960s, Led Zeppelin. The first one or the second one? I don't know which one I prefer. It's hard choice. One of the two. 1970s best album, A Farewell to Kings by Rush. My favorite Rush album. It's peak progressive. It's the source of many good music that will come in the future, including Sirius XM, and I call the cocktail after Sirius XM, which is one of my favorite songs. It's really dissonant, it's really weird, it's far heavier than anything the Rush ever done before or after, and I really just love that album. Runner-up in the 1970s, Master of Reality by Black Sabbath. Love it. Great, great, great album. 1980s best album, Raining Blood, Slayer. Pretty obvious answer. It just, every time I go back to listen to that album, it's scary as the first time I heard it. It's still so insanely violent and outrageous and fast. Really, you're not wasting your time listening to Raining Blood by Slayer. And runner-up, which it was my favorite, I would have said until some time ago, I would say this was my favorite because it's a perfect album too, and it's Appetite for Destruction by Guns N' Roses. Every song is great. Change the world of rock music as we knew it, and yeah, I can talk about Appetite for Destruction all day too. Let's get to 1990s favorite album, Symbolic by Def. That's the masterpiece for me. It's not as much a step in the future as Human was, but it's just the quality of the song, the quality of the musicianship, Gene Hoglan, everybody is playing like crazy, the songs are so good, the lyrics are great, every song a banger, every song has a memorable part, a melody, It's so melodic, it's so nice. It's masterpiece. Runner up, I will say Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness by Smashing Pumpkins. They used to be my favorite 90s album, but I'm not listening to it anymore. It's been a few years. I think Billy Corgan just got a bit heavy. I don't like the guy that much anymore. Best albums of the 2000s. The best one, The Art of Partying by Municipal Waste. That was my gateway back into metal. I stopped listening to metal for a few years there, and then I found out this album by Municipal Waste, and I was like, wait, this is an 80s album. Well, a light just ran out. It's okay. I'm a bit dark on this side, but I'm done with it. And I was like, this is a crossover album I didn't know from the 80s, from the same time as Stormtroopers of Death, and I never heard about this. What a gem. And then I find out it's from 2007, I think. And I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. I was looking for this mix of Kill 'Em All and early Exodus and just fast playing all my life, and now it's here and just great. And the runner-up would be Hazardous Mutation, which actually I could switch the best. Each one could be the best. They are both freaking amazing, and yeah, that's about it. From 2010, my favorite album, Surgical Steel by Carcass. I just realized this summer Carcass has been the band I saw live the most. I saw them 3 times, and I just love the guys. I love the music, the way they are creepy funny, and that's it. Surgical Steel is a masterpiece, and I don't have any runner-up for 2010s yet. Now I'm listening to a lot more music, so in 10-year time, when I'm gonna make this list once more, maybe I'm gonna give you my favorite 2020s.